Have you ever sat there and wondered, oh my God, what am I going to send my email list? If so, you're not alone, because that is the most common question that I get from solopreneurs and small business owners is what the heck should I send out? I'm Jennifer Roland Cadiente. I'm your email marketing gal and the host of the Email Marketing Gal podcast. And that's what I'm here to talk about this week. I've got 7 ideas for what you can send and some tips for how to actually, create, you don't need to create a full like editorial calendar like someone like me might for your business, but just a list of these are the things that I can email about this month because this is what we're promoting, this is what we care about, this is what's happening in my life. And we can make it much, much easier so that you don't stop emailing. Because that's one of the biggest things that I see happen is you get a great email list, you've been doing all the right things, but then you just run out of things to say. So you stop emailing until you've got something to sell. And then they don't know who you are. They don't remember why they signed up. So your sales don't go the way that you want them to go. So let's get into the 7. So one of the things is, what are you teaching people? Give a quick example. What's one thing that you explained to a client this week? That's an email. What's one thing that happened in a live meeting that you had, or one question that came up in an email reply? That's something you can email about. Um, you may also notice like a trend, like everyone's asking about, this one thing right now. That means I best email about it. Number 2 is just some frequently asked questions. If you're not seeing any trends or there's nothing really that you feel like was new and exciting when you were working with people this week or this month, just go back to the things that people ask you all the time. Like that's how I came up with the idea for this video is it's the thing that I get asked is what should I send? So, maybe go through and think of the top 5 things people have asked. Um, you can even send an email saying, "Hey, I want to do a mailbag email. Send me your questions so I can answer them." Because if one person asks it, chances are everyone else is wondering it too. Another thing that, number that people really like, number 3, is a behind the scenes look at your process. And that can be a lot of fun. Like if you're doing videos, you can have someone film you while you're doing stuff. And that can be a ton of fun. If not, you can just, walk people through it. You can take pictures or screenshots of things that you're working on and, blur out any private details and show that people love to see that sort of thing. Number 4 is a client win or a case study. Um, we all love success and we can all learn from other people's successes. So if you saw something great happen, like, um, you helped the client with a launch or you launched something and you did something different and you saw great results, explain what happened. Talk about the challenges that led you to do things or your client to do things this way. Talk about how you came up with that solution and then the outcome. Dollar figures always win. And then you could put in your subject line how so and so increased their income by 70,000 this week or whatever, whatever number you think is gonna really communicate how successful things were. Number 5, quick tip. Emails don't have to be super long. That's one of the things that I have really committed to with these videos is keeping them short and easy to digest. because we don't have all the time in the world. So a quick tip, you can write it quickly, you can schedule it to send, people can read it quickly and ask them what they think of it. And they can get back, and that will keep keeps your list healthy, keeps it engaged. It's a great way to do things. Number 6, a lesson you've learned. These can be some of your most effective emails because you're talking about you, you're sharing your personal stories, and that builds trust and it builds connection with your people so that they look forward to hearing from you. They're curious about what they're going to learn from what you learned. They're curious about what's going on in your life. I see this a lot, in particular with solopreneurs, because your business gets so tied into your personal life that it becomes part of your business persona. And people really love it. Like I will talk about how I like Taylor Swift stuff. And, I shared a while back, I shared a shadow box that I made of the bracelets that I got and my memories of when I saw the Eras tour in Seattle. I'll throw a picture up in here since, this was before I started the Email Marketing Gal podcast. So a lot of you wouldn't have seen that. And then, you get people who respond because they're like, hey, I like Taylor Swift too. Or, hey, I saw her in, X city, or I saw her back when she was brand new. And you get people who don't like Taylor Swift and they're like, right back to you and say, why are you talking about her? I can't escape her, especially right now because there's all the, speculation about the wedding. So it feels like that's all I see, on my social media. But, you can use things like that, things from your life, things you care about. I've talked about my son's track meets. Like it's not, you don't need to hide yourself from your emails. And point 7, email that you're not selling anything. If every email you send is a sales pitch, we talked about this before, nobody cares anymore. Your emails need to help, they need to educate, they need to create a connection. So say, hey, I'm not selling anything right now. I'm just talking to you. And then next week you can sell because next week maybe it's time for a big promotion. But the key is to just make sure that you're sending something. So I hope that these 7 tips have gotten you thinking. If you are looking for more help figuring out email content, you're not alone. I help small business owners and solopreneurs plan, write, and manage their email marketing so they can stay consistent and focus on running their business. So I've got some links to my website and, getting signed up for my email list down in the comments or the show notes, depending on where you're consuming this content. And, always feel free to email me. It's jen@emailmarketinggal.com, and I'm happy to answer your questions and figure out if I can help you. So I will talk to you later. See you next time. Until then, happy emailing.